Hello and welcome on into this week's Scots Sports Show. I am your host, Tyler Trumbauer. As we've started the last two shows and we'll continue to do throughout the fall sports season, we'll kick things off with Boro Football. To do that, once again this week, to my immediate right, I'm joined by play-by-play voice of Boro Football, Mr. Mike Fenner, and to the far side of the stage, we have head Edinburgh football coach, Scott Browning. If you guys did not see, much like last week, we were talking about a loss to start off the show. This week, this one comes in the form of 20-13 to the Shippensburg Red Raiders at Sox Harrison Stadium. Coach, you were up 13-3 at the half, 17 unanswered points by the Red Raiders in the final two quarters of play. How does that kind of resonate with you still a few days now after the game?
You know, it was really two halves, two different halves. We went out and I thought we played extremely well. We got off to a good start, winning at halftime 13-3, and for whatever reason, it's not that we played so poorly in the second half, but we didn't come out with the intensity that I would have liked to have seen. You know, we had an opportunity to put them away, and we didn't do it. And we've got to learn how to win. We've got to learn how to win. We've got to learn how to finish. I do think we're getting better as a football team as a whole. But now we need to put a complete game together and play for 60 minutes.
Right. You said, you know, you liked what you saw so far, some improvement. Those first two, three quarters were solid. Just how is that what you want to see from your team, what you saw in the first half and the first 2.5 quarters?
Yeah, I would like to. You know, in the same breath, you know, offensively, we need to score more points. You know, we've gone out in the first game scoring 10 points and 13 this past week, and we're moving the football, but I think that you know, although we only had one turnover, we've got to do a better job in the red zone. We've got to get 7 points instead of 3.
Although quarterback Jake Sisson's day was cut short, what did you make of the body of work that he brought to your team in the first half and then all the way up until late in the fourth quarter?
You know, I thought that Jake has really shown a lot of improvement the second week from the first week. And, you know, I really believe that had Jake not gone down, he would have put us in a different situation. I thought we had a chance to come back and at least tie it up and then go into overtime and have a shot to win it. That definitely hurt us because we had not repped Jen Gruber a whole lot. But that's just the way it goes. It's part of the game.
Right, and Mike alluding to Jake going down with an injury late in the fourth quarter, bringing in second-string quarterback Jen Gruber. How is Jake doing thus far through this week? Is he looking good to go for Saturday?
He's good to go. You know, it's just a minor bruise. I think it's more of a scare, more precaution than anything. But you know, Jake's back. He's healthy. He's 100%, and Saturday he'll be 100%.
Now, one thing, offensively, you said you got to score more points. The running game is something that has to get going, too. And you mentioned the red zone. I think something that's carrying over from last year is the inability to punch it in right near the goal line. You know, a lot of people just say, when you're a few yards out, run it in. That's something that you guys haven't been able to master. How important is to, A, get the running game going for Boro Football, and B, how important is that so you can score some points?
Well, I think it all stems around the running game. I really do. Until we're able to run the football, we're going to be limited. They'll start right now. We're a one-dimensional team, and you know, they're going to start taking Darren Massey and the rest of the passing game away from us, and it's vital. And it was an emphasis last week. You didn't see a lot of improvement, although I do think we improved a little bit. But again, this week it's going to be an emphasis. We have got to be able to run the football, and when you have that thing fourth and a foot or two. And even later on in the game, it was 3rd and 2, and we tried to run the football, and we didn't get the first down at a critical point. So it's critical that we get that problem corrected.
Late in that game on Saturday, having that sudden change and being forced to be in a tough spot with some adversity, how do you feel like your offense as a whole and John individually responded to that situation?
Well, I don't think we did a very good job as a staff preparing John. You know, and I'll defend John. You know. He didn't have a lot of reps. He's not taking a lot of reps this year. He's taken more reps at the tight end position up prior to last week. And then when John did come in, we were out of timeouts. It was raining. It just seemed like everything that could have gone wrong at that point in time for a quarterback that had not been really prepared like I would like for him to be prepared. The situation couldn't have been worse.
So now moving on from that loss, going into another PSAC crossover game this Saturday as you're hitting the road for the first time at East Stroudsburg. A very historic game for ESU. There's going to be 800th of their program, 500th for their historic head coach, Denny Dowds, over there. What do you make of him and the program that you're going to be facing this Saturday, which is searching for its first win as well this year, but has a lot of talent on it?
They're a very talented football team. In fact, I don't think they're like us. They did not plan on being 0-2 at this point in time. Very tough place to play. I've got great respect for Coach Dowd. He's been in a long time now, during their 50 years. And it's going to be a great challenge for us. It's going to be a tremendous challenge. It's an opportunity for us, one more opportunity prior to conference play for us to go out and get better and hopefully bring home a victory.
Coach, what can you take away from last year's matchup, same week, same quarterback and Matt Soltez, a 47-34 shootout here at Sox Harrison Stadium? What can you recall from that game and take away from that game preparing for this Saturday's contest?
He's a heck of a quarterback, and going into this season, a lot of people thought that he was one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He's very knowledgeable. He's can throw the football extremely well. Offensively, they will ask him to do the things that he does to complement his abilities and the other ability of the rest of the offense. So they'll be prepared. They'll throw that football around. They'll put you in tough situations. They'll run the ball. They're big up front. In defense, they create havoc. So it'll be a great challenge for us.
How important is it to get that win today? Obviously, like you said, next week is going to finally count just a little bit more with divisional play starting. But how important is it to just get that first win out of the way and get that monkey off your back, something you experienced last year?
I think it's important. I think a victory is very important. It gives everyone confidence. It just reinforces that we're headed in the right direction. Along with a victory, I think it's important that we continue to improve. But it'd be nice to win conference play with a victory under our belt.
One last note I forgot to mention from this previous Saturday, something that was a big accolade was Austin Reese in the kicking position, earning PSAC West Special Teams Player of the Week, connecting on 2 field goals, including one that was a 43-yarder, one of the longest for Boro in the last few years. How has Reese progressed this year, and how happy are you from him for your special teams?
Well, I think he's definitely a weapon for us, and we feel very confident. I would kick anything 50-yarder in with Austin. He's a very, very good kicker. He's an excellent punter. He brings a lot to the program. He's just an added weapon, like I mentioned before, and we're extremely happy with him.
There's another weapon for Boro football, and of course, one that you'd hope to use in a victory, and he'll kick extra points all day as long as you're scoring touchdowns.
He'd love to
right,
kick
Coach?
extra points.
There you go. So hopefully he'll be kicking a lot of those on Saturday as the Scots go to East Stroudsburg to face the Warriors. That's Saturday, 1:05 from the campus of East Stroudsburg University. Mike and I will have the call on 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio and EdinburghNow.com, as well as the TuneIn app. Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll continue Boro football talk after the break with junior wide receiver Darren Massey. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. We're going to continue our Boro football talk here as Mike is continuing with me. And now we are joined by redshirt junior wide receiver Darren Massey, who is off to a great start, a Division II preseason All-American, Darren. And in 2 games, you lead all of Division II in receptions per game. How happy are you with your start thus far?
I mean, it's amazing. It's a great feeling. I mean, obviously at the end I want to get a victory in the end, but I had to put it up to Jake Sisson. He's doing a tremendous job so far. I mean, of course there's other aspects that go into the game and whatnot with the victory, but I mean, we got to just fight it out. We need leaders to push the team, and hopefully I could do that.
Talking about your quarterback, Darren, what's the comparison, what's the difference between playing in a huddle with Cody Harris versus now with Jake Sisson as the guy?
I mean, I've been playing football my whole entire life. I mean, there's different people, different leaders, different aspects of the team that need help in different areas. But they're completely 2 different people, both tremendous quarterbacks, good leaders. Cody Harris, his character just boosts the whole team, I mean, it's just a different feeling. And then when you get with Jake Sisson, he's a type of player who will lead the team with actions instead of words. So it's a good feeling to see a different quarterback in a different mode and be involved with that situation.
You said Sisson will lead with his actions. Not a lot of, great actions for Sisson yet, but he's obviously shown glimpses thus far. What do you feel about him so far through 2 weeks, and obviously hoping that he can progress more, knowing what his ceiling actually is?
There's always room for improvement with me, the team, Jake Sisson. Obviously hasn't begun with a great start, but obviously we want him to step up a lot more, as in just leading the team. We're trying to get him to get a little vocal, be able to lead the team that way and whatnot. But we need to start off with the line, I mean, he needs to push the line a little bit more. We have a great line to be able to step up for us this year. They just need to, once again, step up with their actions.
Darren, you came away with a school record 80 receptions last year in a single season. What do you think is the thing you worked on the most, however, going from last year to this year, trying to improve your game each and every day?
Injury prone. I just don't want to get injured. Trying to stay healthy. I worked out all summer long. I had a trainer or whatnot. I basically just work on injuries and speed this off season.
That's interesting, Darren, how, the skill set is something people always think you're working on, but you got to, stay healthy as well. And when you're training as hard as you do, you can even just get injured with training as well. So that's an interesting aspect to work on. Now, what did you, do in the offseason skill set wise at all to kind of work on your game too? Because we all know that you have very high goals in the game of football. So what did you kind of do to better yourself that maybe you are doing now with Boro Football and maybe instilling in your other teammates, say like a Connor Hollenbeck or someone?
Strength and conditioning is huge coming into football. Like I said, I had a few buddies back at home that were willing to work with me that I played throughout high school. Coming from Montour, I had a great quarterback, Dylan Beagle. He helped me out a lot with agility. I mean, just throwing routes with me on the off season and whatnot. And like I said, strength and conditioning. I mean, I had ankle issues last year, as you guys know, and whatnot. But this year, I'm 100% healthy, and I'm happy to be healthy, and I'm trying to stay healthy.
Speaking of Hollenbeck and also Alex Caratelli, what can you say about those other wide receivers around you and what they may be able to do in terms of maybe being a deep threat and opening things up all around the field?
Absolutely. I mean, they're going to be a great aspect of the team. Connor Hollenbeck, he has been improving a lot from last year. He can open up the field. I mean, he's 6'6", 6'5". He's going to be a great weapon for us. Caratelli, I'm happy to have him as well. He's also a faster receiver. He could open up the field, deep threats, deep balls, posts, low-key routes, all that and whatnot. It's definitely going to get the double team, triple team focus off me and be able to get the ball in their hands as well.
As a receiver, I mean, you can catch the deep ball. They can say do a 9 route and go, and you'll do it. But you can also get those little short ones, and you have that first quick step. I think you have some of the best, if not the best, footwork in the conference. How do you feel about when you're doing those short intermediate routes compared to when you're running the deep ball? How do you change your mindset, or what is your mindset when you're going out and you know what your route's going to be each and every play?
Same goal as always: get 6 on the board. No matter how you got to do it, if I could help on punt return, kick return, short pass, screen pass. My goal in my head is every time I line up, I want to score. I want to help the offenses out as much as possible, and that's what my goal is every time I go out there.
Now, obviously, Coach talked about the offense right now, and he wants to see more points from the offense. As a member of that unit, how do you feel you guys can do that and score more points to help out your defense and obviously get more wins as the season goes along?
We need to start working as a unit. That's the most important thing right now, where I think we're all on a different page right now. We need to start clicking as one. I mean, we have it in our repertoire to be able to go out there and say, okay, let's go 60-plus yards and score a touchdown. We have the basic things for it to happen. It just needs to start clicking.
As an offense, when you look at an opponent like an East Stroudsburg or even a Shippensburg last week, some other opponents up ahead, do you ever feel pressure as an offense in your position to try and put up those points when you know that those other players and teams are capable of doing just the same thing?
I just have the same goal every game. I just want to go out there and win. I don't really try and think about the aspects of them double teaming me, triple teaming me. If I'm wide open or covered, my goal is to catch the ball and score.
Obviously, this is not something that's at the forefront of your mind right now. Right now, it's ESU getting a win otherwise, but I kind of alluded to it earlier. You got high goals in the game of football. I mean, right now, you're a student athlete first, so you're worrying about academics, worrying about Boro football day in and day out. But where would you like to go? Where would you like the game of pigskin to take you after this?
I'm going to go as far as I can. Absolutely as far as I can. I've been playing this game for a long time. I remember as a kid, I would just always dream about playing college ball. Now I'm living the dream, kind of. But I obviously have more intentions of going on to the next level. As far as possible. I mean, NFL tryouts, I'll go. I mean, I have 2 more years left. Right now, I just got to think about bettering the program. As of speaking now, I mean, Coach Browning has helped me out in so many ways off the field as he did on the field. Right now, it's just my job to be able to better the program, and after that, think about myself.
going back to professional football, we had the great pleasure, Tyler and I, of talking to Trevor Harris on our broadcast on Saturday afternoon in the Shippensburg game. Have you talked to Trevor at all, and have you talked to anybody else about the potential prospects of playing professionally?
I spoke with a few players. I know a few players back at home that went professional. I mean, NFL level. Trevor has spoke to me a few times. There's small messages reaching out to me as we speak, but it's just, he told me I have 2 years left. Do all you can right now to be able to boost your ability to be able to play in NFL or Canadian League or whatever it is.
Right, 2 more years to make it, and look at what you've already accomplished, and hopefully you can accomplish one more thing, a victory on Saturday at Stroudsburg, which I know means more than anything else to you, Darren. So thanks for joining us today, and good luck this Saturday and the rest of the season.
Thanks a lot, I appreciate it.
So we'll transition from Boro football after the break as we will head to the women's volleyball team, who is off to a very, very great start this season. The women's volleyball team is on the road, so it doesn't even really count, does it? I don't know, but nonetheless, they're on the road, and their wins and losses are counting despite us not being able to see them in Macomb Fieldhouse. They are off to a great start, 6-1 thus far in preseason conference play. It's a little confusing. Coach Soboleski can explain that to us. And speaking of her, she's joined me for the second straight week here on the Scots Sports Show. This time she's bringing along Jen Gruber as well. Ladies, thanks for joining me. Coach, we talked last week and we were talking about a solid first tournament, and now we got another one under the belt and 3 more wins. How happy are you with the first 6-7 matches?
I'm really happy with the way we're developing and coming along the first 2 weekends. The focus this past weekend really was trying to try to use more of a balanced attack. And the nice thing about this season is we're finding as we're playing in more matches that we have more and more options offensively. With Jen, pretty much led the weekend at the net for us, along with Latoya and Victoria and Shallon and freshman newcomer Megan Skreptok. Squid's been doing a real nice job offensively for us as a setter as well. So that this weekend was something that really shined through, along with our defense that we were always really pretty much focused on. So.
Jen, Coach said you are an offensive weapon at the net. It's a lot easier for you because you can, play well at the net. I can easily just walk under the net, so it's a little different. But how do you feel you've done thus far this season, and along with the other ladies offensively?
Really well. I've really been working on more of my leadership ability on the court. Not so much playing well. Obviously, I do focus on that, but more in how I speak to everyone and how I get everyone's emotions going. And so I've been working on that, and that's been going really well. And yeah,
being a vocal leader. I mean,
exactly.
You guys, I believe, are the loudest team Edinboro has. So I mean, you got to keep that going, right? You got to be able to have those chants and be able to talk and communicate on the court. Coach, defensively, what have you seen thus far from the team? I mean, you guys are obviously winning, in straight sets most times, but you're giving up points too. You're not really blowing them out in those sets. So how do you feel defensively you've been?
Well, blocking is always a huge issue for us. Whether it's good or bad, it's always something that's either going to help win you a match, or it's going to ultimately, you're going to lose the match. You can lose the match just because of blocking. Mm-hmm. We've really been trying to do a good job in practice of training it and really trying to teach the basic breakdown of how you even set the block. So we've really defensively done a good job that way. Now, when we come up against some bigger teams, more offensive, then you're going to see us, really even having to really slow the ball down and channel the ball where we really want it to go. Behind the block, I think we really have a good support cast, a solid. It's led by Mara Maycock. She's doing a great job at libero. Shallon and Megan and Squid behind them are all doing a very nice job defensively, and Jen as well. Jen sometimes plays back row for us. And to complement what Jen had said, Jen really does do a very good job of leading on and off the court. So she's a hard worker, and the girls really respond to her because of the hard work that she does put in.
Jen, obviously a hard worker that you are. Going into this season, what were some goals that you had individually for the team? Missing out on the conference last year, but still getting some postseason play in there. What were some of the thoughts you were having going into 2015?
Personally, with my arm swing, I have a lot of trouble dropping my elbow and getting under the ball. So just with swinging, I would say blocking, like you said, was a huge deal, and I'm finally starting to get it, and those drills in practice are really helping.
Just
Yeah.
continuing yourself. What about for the team? Was there anything that the ladies talked about in the locker room, or maybe you talked with coach and others?
Well, there is one thing new this year that has helped us a lot is making it's a game to 5, and we fight to be the first person to reach 5, the first to reach 10, 15, 20, 25, and that this weekend really helped us. You know, you're constantly working towards a goal, these mini goals, and obviously you want to win the entire game, but didn't you say statistics show 80% of people that
Don't get to 10.
Yeah, make it to 10 first, win the game. So we've really been focusing on that, and I think that's ultimately what helped us this weekend.
That's next level stuff right there, Coach. I'm sure you were the one crunching the numbers yourself, right? That's a Missy Soboleski research data right there. So obviously continuing on into the season, it's still just conference tournament, or it's not non-conference, it's just tournament play yet. So do you kind of take these results with a grain of salt, knowing that, you know, the big behemoth of the PSAC is looming on the horizon there?
Yeah, well, this next weekend is a good challenge for us as well. It's the regional crossover, so you really need to go into the regional crossover with high expectations of doing very well, and you really need to take it seriously, because ultimately it's trying to get in that top 8 in the region. So if you're letting other teams and other conferences beat you, then getting in the top 8 will be more difficult. So it's a real big challenge and a real big weekend for us.
Certainly. Jen, I forgot to talk about it earlier, but obviously you are this week's female Scot of the week, so you've obviously done a good job so far. Player-wise, do you kind of maybe amp it up a little bit, knowing that you're going to have that tough regional competition coming up this weekend, and then you're going to have the conference, especially the Western Division, coming up in just a matter of a few weeks?
Yeah, we are always working hard. We're always working towards winning, our ultimate goal. You know, these past 2 weekends we've had mediocre competition, and obviously our PSAC conference is one of, you know, the toughest conferences for Division II. So with these 2 weekends behind us, you know, we just want to keep a good record and get us in good spirits, and hopefully we'll keep the same track that we're doing now and keep that towards once we start playing the PSAC teams.
Right. You got, you know, a lot of some experience, but you have, you know, some younger players too, some transfer players. Coach alluded to them earlier, that are, you know, going to be their first time going through the conference. What words would you give to them to say, you know, right now this is nice, you know, only having 1 loss, but get ready, we're going into a gauntlet coming up here soon. What would you tell them?
I mean, well, it's already been said. Our first weekend, we played against Northwestern Missouri State, and they were the closest team that really portrayed how most of the PSAC teams are. And unfortunately we ended up losing to them, but it was really, but all of our games were 23-25, it was very close.
Yeah.
So we definitely let them know that, hey, this is how it's going to be when we start playing these teams, and we got to bring it every time. There's no letting up, there's no taking a break, and
each and every night. You can't take a night off when you're
Exactly.
finally in your conference schedule. Coach, as you're reaching towards there, what are some things that your squad is still working on to date? Obviously, there's always room for improvement. So what are some things that you're improving on with these crossovers coming up, getting closer to that first conference date?
We're really just trying to keep the intensity up on the court, keep the desire and the sense of urgency to keep the ball off the floor. And we're going to continue to work on the blocking and the defense behind the ball. You know, obviously serve, receive, trying to stay in system as much as we can, so that we have 3 options for Squid or Katie to set whenever they're in the front row. And just pretty much, like Jen said, we're playing those mini games to 5. We're trying to beat you to 5 every single time. So, but the biggest thing is to stay focused and keep our intensity level up.
Certainly, and you know, you got one of the most intense coaches in Edinboro, maybe the PSAC, Jen. So I'm sure you don't have a problem keeping your intensity up, correct?
Correct.
You can do that. So the intense Edinboro women's volleyball team will continue on with the conference or the regional crossover up in Erie this weekend as they get closer and closer to conference play. Ladies, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And we'll be back after this commercial break as the Scots Sports Show rolls along. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Congratulations to Jen Gruber and Vitor Albanese for being named this week's female and male Scots of the Week. Miss Gruber, who we just talked to in the last segment, has had a great season thus far. She's had 57 kills and 25 digs thus far this season, including a couple of blocks as well this past weekend at the Virginia State Tournament, as she helps the women's volleyball team off to a great 6-1 start. Vitor Albanese claimed the 2015 PSAC Men's Singles Championship this past weekend at Bloomsburg University at a rain-soaked two-day championships in Bloom. Now let's take a look at what is upcoming for Edinboro's student athletes. As we look at now, we have women's tennis gets underway this Thursday with Westminster as they finally have some normal match play. Moving on into the weekend, the women's volleyball team has the Atlantic Regional Crossover, and that is at the Hammermill Center in Erie. That's on Friday night and continues on into Saturday. Moving on, and before we get to Saturday, we have the Spartan Invitational for the cross-country teams at Michigan State on Friday. And then finally moving into Saturday, more volleyball ensues, but also we have football on the road at ESU 105, which we talked to with head coach Scott Browning and Darren Massey. Make sure you go out and support Edinboro's student athletes. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching, and go Boro.